Okay, so to Craft the Leather is a project that we've been doing now for a good many years. It was running along very happily until we had to cancel, until the world got canceled. But then we began a virtual platform, and this platform has been able to connect all of these schools, most of whom took part in workshops in Tuscany or in hosted workshops in their own schools. And then these are also people who are represented here today. So if maybe the guests who are here could introduce themselves to, or maybe Ellie, you start explaining where we are,
okay.
Where your students are from, and then we can kind of just say who we are and where we're from.
Right. Thank you, Diane. So, hello, good afternoon, good evening to Tokyo, good morning to the States. So, hello from Jerusalem. I'm Ellie Ginsburg, and I'm representing here with my students the Bezalel Academy in Jerusalem, Academy of Arts and Crafts, which was established 150 years ago. I think we have 9 departments, about 2,000 students, about 350 lecturers. I'm from the Department of Jewelry and Fashion, and we do all around the body. What does this mean? We do jewelry, we do fashion, we do glasses, accessories, shoes, and in this context here, we are showing the products of the super specializing course for vegetable tanned leather. Actually, we're working with this kind of tanning of leather 3 decades. But in the last 3 years, we have a specific course dedicated to this gorgeous material. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know, do we go geographically? How do we?
No, maybe I wanted to thank, but saying thank you here is not enough. I appreciate.
Recording in progress.
I appreciate so much the possibility to participate, to join this community, and I want to say thank you to the Consorzio Vera Pelle Italiana Conciata al Vegetale and the group of the Craft the Leather project. Of course, Diane, Barbara, Giorgio, and thank you to all the people of the community who wanted to join us today. Renee, Troy, Marika, Mr. Hiroshi, Yana, Sarah, Aki, and I want to thank our head of department, Mrs. Shelley Satat, who is not with us right now, but she will join later. That's it.
Okay, let's see, maybe Troy, do you want to give us 2 words about who you are?
Yeah, hi Dan. Hey everyone. Hi, I'm Troy Nachtigal. I'm the chaired professor of fashion technology and research at Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences, where I work mostly with the fashion program at Amphi, but data sciences programs and all kinds of technology programs as well, looking at the old and the new at the same time.
Super. Renee?
Hello, I'm René van den Berg. I'm from Holland. A little bit about my background. I'm an orthopedic shoemaker. I make shoes to measure. Did a lot of shoes for fashion shows, and currently I'm hosting 30 plus students in my own academy, which I started about 2 years ago.
Super. Aki?
Hello, sorry. Hello, I'm Aki Chocolate. It is my real name, by the way, because everybody always asks. I'm from, I'm currently the chair of the Fashion Accessories Design Department in Detroit, and we specialize in footwear and handbags and other things that adore the body. Nice to be here, and thank you for the invitation. And I've done, by the way, all forms of this Verapelle courses, so I'm really happy to be here.
Super. Sarah?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Mullins. I'm the assistant chair of the Footwear and Accessory Design Department at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. And yeah, I've been involved with Craft the Leather since 2013, and I love everything they do. I'm a big supporter, and the students always do incredible work. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you all have done. Thank you for having me.
Super. Marika?
Hello, everybody. I'm Anne-Marike Verploeg-Chasset. I grew up in Switzerland, but I've been here in Brooklyn for 20 years. I'm a shoe and boot maker, and I've also been really lucky to teach at the FIT with Sarah in her department as an instructor, and also at RISD at the Rhode Island School of Design in the Industrial Design Department for the past 8 years. And I think I was that 7 years when I was in Tuscany with Ellie for Craft the Leather, and it was an eye-opening experience. And ever since I've been promoting and pushing my students to try out this fantastic materials and, you know, think bigger than just objects, but also materials.
Super nice. Hiroshi?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Hiroshi Sako. My title is educational the director of the Hikomizuno College Jury from Japan. So I'm very happy because we also seeking the possibility to having this workshop in Japan the next fall. But not only that reason, our school and my school and your school that had an exchange programs. So we are very much impressed by the in past. We are very much impressed by that you are talented and diligent student. So for now, we have to stop. We cannot invite any student from outside the country, but sooner or later we will restart the exchange program. So if you have something interesting and hope to stay in Japan, we would welcome. Please consider about the possibility to come to Japan in the future. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
So quite a few members of Hiroshi's staff are here. I don't know if they want to just quickly say hello too, and then we can we have a lot of student presentations today, so we'll get to them. Okay, I see Barbara is here from the consortio, and also Giorgio. So we have a really wonderful international roundup for today as well. So today we'll be looking at the projects that came out of this Craft the Leather collaboration. And Ellie, you can take it away. If your students already have their order of how they're going to present.
So I just want to say the program for today, they are 15 or 16 students presenting short presentations of about 3-4 minutes. After the presentations, we might have a few very, very short films showing the work they had done. At the end of the presentations, of the students, I will show a short presentation with three very short 1 minute every film, showing what we are specializing in and actually working processes. I think for the teachers here and for the students, it will be very interesting to see. So just a taste of what we do with Veg 10 leather in shoes, how they look, the technologies, and how the work is done. I think the first one can begin, please.
So just one word, this is not a formal crit. The students have already finished their formal part of their presentations. But if you have comments to put in the chat so that the students can see them later. If you have questions though, please pop up and ask your questions. So we won't be going around for comments from everyone after each presentation, but also it's really nice to give some feedback since we're all here. So, okay, in that case, I'll stop my share and.
Tehila is the first one to share.
Okay.
Hi, my name is, I'm just gonna get this ready before, sorry. My name is Tehila Goldman. Nice to meet you all. I'm really excited to be here. Here we go. Okay. We did this in collaboration with the Craft the Leather workshop that happened online. The first of the projects that we did was a lamination construction, which we just glued pieces of sole leather together and shaped them off. Here I just made a simple pebble. Please tell me if there's any technical difficulties.
No, it looks good. It looks perfect.
Okay. Here in the workshop, we learned how to take egg whites and cream to block out coloring when using aniline coloring. Here's just a little bit of what I did. Continuing in Craft the Leather workshop, I made a pattern for a hammer and finished it off with a cross stitch. Here we had a short taste of a Canadian artist who showed us how to make leather look like bark. So here's some close-ups of that, you know, coloring it, making the textures. Here's another item that I made using the same technique, but here I finished it off with a saddle stitch. In my last project, my final project, I called it Get a Puzzle. Going into this project, I wanted to combine childish fun with a practical item. I have always loved three-dimensional puzzles, like a dovetail puzzle, only solvable with one specific movement. There's something about feeling what you're doing and succeeding with your own hands. Then I looked up sandals and I found tengugeta. Hopefully I said that correctly. A one-toothed Japanese sandal with a wooden base. Wearing the sandals is like a balancing game, and I thought, what better to combine? Here are some of the visual references that I took. To the right is a dovetail puzzle, and you see how it can be solved. And to the left, we see the tengugeta shoe being worn. The first stages was just 3D sketches. I made it out of Play-Doh just so that I can get an easily formed product. Then I converted it into cardboard to really see how all of the pieces go together and to get a better idea of what I'm making in the end. This is me modifying my mold, my shoe mold, making the shoe wider by adding leather and shaving off the excess. Here you see it over here, this piece of leather, sorry. Adding 2 planks of wood to the toes to make a straight edge by the widest part of the foot, and then adding epoxy clay to fill in the gaps between the shoe mold and the wood. I did this because I had a part on the top here that needed wet molding. And in order to get that perfect shape, I really needed to modify it for my exact needs. So here you see me wet molding, and then to the right you see all of the layers glued together. This is some photos of my finished project. You know, it's straight on and to the side. Here you see it apart, you know, all the pieces and how it actually comes together. This is a friend of mine's daughter who modeled it for me. Her name is Leia, and she's 9. We both had fun doing this together, and I think that was what I was aiming for in the end. Here's her playing with it and taking it apart, because this is a shoe that kind of works like a puzzle with the movements and the idea of it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope everyone does great today.
Thank you, Teila.
Wow, super nice, Taylor. Super nice.
This is what we call layering construction. This is the material is sole leather, and there is a whole protocol of how to glue it properly and press it. You will see in the coming presentations. Who's next?
Me. Hi, can you see my screen?
Yes. Can you enlarge it, please?
Yes. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Yaela Yorowitz-Rashba. It's pleasant to meet you guys. For my lamination construction exercise, I made an ergonomic hairbrush made out of sole leather. I glued leather pieces together and shaped it to be very comfortable to use in the palm of your hand. And then we had a workshop with Giorgio where we learned how to use cream and egg whites in order to block the aniline paint from going onto the leather, and doing some surface impressions. And then I made a lighter cover with saddle stitch. We had an exercise of connectors. I came up with this little press pin that is made out of sole leather as well. It's only leather, no pin with the metal or anything, and it just works with pressure on a t-shirt. Afterwards, I did an exercise with wet molding. I had this unicorn from porcelain at home, and I wanted to mimic it with wet molding, cover it. And this was at home without any tools. We had a bit of a crazy time here in Israel that we couldn't go into school because of a war, but I used tools I had at home, including this brass marble I've made and some hair ties to get to this unicorn. I coated the inside with glue so it won't change with weather changes. Afterwards, I tried some tooling on Vaqueta veg tan leather. It was our first time doing it. That was really fun. Afterwards, we learned how to do some biomimicry to make leather look like wood. We used a metal brush over and over again, and some tools to make the eye holes, and some paint to get the mimicry of the wood. Afterwards, I tried some sand tanning print on the leather, where I just took a piece of paper and did some cutouts, and I let it tan in the sun in the window. And I covered my hairbrush with it. The color came off a bit while I was rubbing and wet molding it, but I still really like what came out. For my final project, I really liked my pin project, so I tried to develop it. while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my final project. I don't know if you've all heard, there was a bit of a war in Israel, and I was trying to figure out everything and what I wanted to do. And I was watching the news, and I saw a lot of hate and violence, and was a lot of hatred between religions. And it was also a lot of men violence going on in the streets, like breaking cars. And this is like just what came out of me in my sketches was like 3 religious women, a Christian, a Jewish, and a Muslim, religious women. This is on a shirt, how it looks. This is the laser cutting I did to get the shapes, and some of my first sketches with this idea. This is how some of the finishing. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Yela. Who is next, please?
I am next.
Can I just ask one question? That pinning, though, that's actually jewelry? Were those objects that were on clothing?
Yeah,
The two
so
piece-
you can just pin it onto any t-shirt, and because of the like there's only a bit of I forgot the word in English. The space I left there is just enough for a stretchy t-shirt, and it just pins on without any need for any metal,
Any other
or anything like
mechanism
that. It's
to-
made out of sole leather. Yeah, only out of sole leather and glue.
Super nice, very nice.
Can everyone see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Please enlarge it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Tal. I missed a month during the semester because of medical reasons. So I'm going to show you most of my projects I have. The first one is heart-shaped lamination construction and working process. This is card case fitting to credit and business cards. And there's a video here.
It was the first time for you to ever touch leather, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is my first time actually touching leather. Yeah. Here I wanted to coat wooden hammer with a new layer of wood. So I found the leather is good imitation for it. And my final project, I cover different stones with leather so I can keep the shape of the leather but not the weight. This is what I have so far. The chiseled stone can be hung, and I'll show you the working process. Tell me if I'm like doing it too fast. This is epoxy layer inside. This is another layer, stone.
Would you like to mention the 3 kinds of stones?
Sure, yeah. The first one is the pebble, who represents the nature. The second one, it's chiseled stone, which represents the city. And the last one, it's plastic diamond, which I'm still working on, and it represents the industry. So this is like 3 things I found interesting with Ellie to do all together. And that's all.
Thank you, Tal.
Thank you.
Ellie, just one question, or maybe just background. How much of the time did you have students in class with you? because I know everybody had different situations. And for the educators, it could be interesting to know what the in studio, in home kind of balance was for you.
I think most of the time we've been at school, but we had a period of a war and it was embarrassing and frightening. And even if you were home, it wasn't easy to concentrate. But now we're returning to the COVID again.
Back to comfort of COVID.
Who's next?
I'm next.
Eden.
Omer.
סליחה, Omer.
Hi, hello, my name is, I'm sorry, 1 second. My name is Omer Goren and
Omer, okay, thank you.
my name is Omer Goren. I'm a little bit sick, so today Yela, my friend, will help me with presentation. And I'm very excited to be here, so thank you, Yela.
Hey, hi everyone. So for the first lamination construction exercise, Omer made an ergonomic mouse pad to use for her own computer. She made it with a special place for her arm, so it's comfortable to use. Okay, for the Craft the Leather workshop, with the wet molding, surface impression, saddle stitch, and aniline dye. This is the workshop we did with Giorgio, and this is what she has made. In the tooling process, she decided that she wanted to make a case for her sewing scissors. And so after the tooling, she has painted it, cut it, did wet molding, and then ended with a saddle stitch to fit perfectly on her scissors. For the biomimicry, we used the Keta leather and a little different types of paint. For her final project, she made a diamond ring for her dad, made out of sole leather, brass, with techniques of lamination and milling. She used different techniques that usually are used by a carpentry people world. A lot of techniques and materials. She made a Brody knob made for her dad, for her father, because he has a disability in his hand, for the car wheel. So this is first the starting of the sketching, making the dummy wheel from wood and getting a wheel to look exactly like her father's wheel. This is some of the working process. This is a 3D sketch made with a thermoplastic material, and this helped her construct the real leather, doing wet molding and the gluing together. So here we can see the beginning of the process of making the knob, pasting all of the leather together, one on top of another, like lamination construction, and a lot of hammering. For the working process, this is usually used by woodworkers, using a lathe to make a circular knob on leather, which is one of the first times doing this, I think, ever. This is part of the working process, the wet molding and the gluing. Also on the wheel, as you can see, the Toyota wheel, which is the same exact one her father has, and using the wooden dummy. And here is the final project with her father's hand using it, fitting perfect.
It's with a turning machine.
Thank you.
Hi, just a second. Hi, my name is Nitzan, and this is my presentation. So in the first exercise, I want to do a feather. So this is a feather made of saw leather. In the Craft the Leather workshop, I decided to try to do a name on the leather, the cover for later. So I'm a little bit excited. So this is what I've done. It's with egg white and cream. In this exercise, I want to do a cover from vaqueta leather to hammer. I use in wet molding, cedar stitches and tooling. Here you can see the tooling. This is the by Mercury. I wanted to vaqueta leather look like a wood. And this is my final project. This is the 2 and 3D sketches. I took the connectors exercise and want to make it like a necklace. Here you can see the working process. I cut the leather with a laser, and then I've glue it together. I made sorry, I'm a little bit excited.
Rivets.
Rivets from silver, yes. And then I've done wet molding to the necklace to make it be like ergonomic to the neck. Here you can see the coloring and the brushing. And this is the final results. It can close and open and expand. And this is how you put it on the neck. Here you can see it on a person. And thank you for the opportunity to show you my work.
Thank you, Nitzan.
Hi, I'm Odelia, and
Odelia, please enlarge your screen.
yeah. Hi, I'm Odelia, and this is my lamination construction work. And this one is a biomimicry wood bag that I made on utensil of jewelry with modding. And this is with a workshop of Craft the Leather. I make a surface impression with eggs white and cream and another weight modding and cedar stitch. And this is my final project of connectors. I decided to make a belt with removable parts and a laser connector performing as a buckle. It's made from 100% saw leather using wet molding, soaking the leather in water for 24 hours in order to make it softer and workable. For shaping the leather, I made and worked with a true-part wooden mold. For creating the texture on the laser, I used a texture metal plate that was heated just to get warm, pressing it against the damp leather. And this is my 4D sketches. And this is working project. This is wooden mold. So I put different parts in the wooden mold and I pressed it and waiting that it will be in the take the form. And this is the front side of my final project. After that, I color it. And this is the back side. And thank you.
Thank you, Odelia.
Thank you. Sorry.
that? Was that a body ornament? Oh, belt. Okay.
Yeah, belt.
Would have been
Hi,
nice.
my name is Eden. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I don't know if I missed it. It would be nice to see it on a person because the work is beautiful, but you can also lose the idea of scale. So it would have been really nice to have seen that also on someone.
I agree.
Hi, my name is Eden, and Teila
I'm
will
gonna help her
present
out.
my work. Yes.
All right. So in the first project, we see the lamination construction that she did. She made a door stopper, which we see on the left, and the right we see her biomimicry product that we had made, all of us. Then we see the Craft the Leather online workshop where she used tooling, a saddle stitch, and aniline dyeing with the cream, as we've seen before. Sorry, and to cover a hammer and a lighter as well. Here we see her final project called Canoe. The vegetable tan leather, a timeless material, I'm reading in her name, took my imagination to a traditional, simple way of life. I combined this with the challenge of creating a connector. So we see the connector on the bottom and the canoe on top. The working process, we see the 3D sketch to the left and a mold she made out of wood, do the wet molding on. Here we see the wet molding in the process. She put in the first layer out of the two, flesh side in, so that we can have both sides of the object be with flesh. Here we see the base in its sketches, the three-dimensional sketches. This is the finished project. It all comes apart and can be put back together. And here's the canoe. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a video I want to share with you. Wait a minute. You hear the video?
No, there's no sound.
No sound? Wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Eden. Yeah.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Nava. Just a second. I will go over my presentation quickly. You can see the first slide. In the first slide, you can see the first attempts and the exercise in the material that Ellie gives us. This is a simple exercise of connectors without the use of additional material. This is the result of the workshop we did together with Giorgio. And there's a painting on the surface, then a wet molding and swing on one of my tools. You can see it here again. This is some tooling exercise.
Excuse me, Nava, can you improve your connection?
I'm sorry, just a second.
נאוה, מה קורה? Nava, we'll give you the chance to connect again and we will go to the next person.
Okay, so to share now?
If it's okay, yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Just a second. I'll go back. This is a vinegaroon. It's an ancient technique that Ellie told us about it. Actually, it's vinegar and iron. I put them together for a week and a half, and I just colored the leather in black, as you can see in the video. And this one is from the biomimicry, and I use it to wet molding on an actual tree. It was very interesting to see how it's getting along. And then I started to work on my final project. In my work, I try to understand what material is and feel it. In my opinion, a work renovates when a translation from one language to another takes place. The greatest beauty I found in the work of art is the delicate relationship between the identification that the viewer feels for the work and the way in which this identification will be new. While working in the course, I became familiar with new material and explored it free of functionality, but in attempt to show multiplicity and unity in a materialistic way through dimension, form, and feeling. So I'll go back. I used leftovers with my friends. This is a tela leftovers. This is a quote from Heraclitus of Epos. He said the one is made up of all things and all things issue from the one. I loved it. He tried to summarize the whole world into one sentence, and I tried to make my interpretation, and I love the necklace that I found inside it. So I took my friend's leftovers, I glued them, and without
any specific planning. In the sanding machine, they were born. So I like the shapes. They're interesting. You can see here more. And I think that the one parameter I took care of was the contradictory in the sanding of both sides. One side is smooth, it's planned and unified, while the other side reveals the truth. It's just layers of leather that are glued with contact glue. So I let them be what they wanted to be. I wanted that the leather and I will be friends. So I let it do whatever it wants to do. I'm sorry, the video is a bit, but I like the shapes that they get out of the material without any help, maybe a little help. And you can see in this picture how many you can find in one piece. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so Shani will be doing her project next, but she has some internet problems, so I'll be taking over. Here we go. This is her elimination construction. She just made a block sanding off the sides to make it angular. Here was our connectors project where she made a puzzle. Afterwards, this was in the Craft the Leather workshop with Giorgio where we made lighter covers. This was her lighter cover. Another photo of this. Afterwards, she did some tooling, and this is what she did. You see a bunny in the middle. This is during our biomimicry, where we worked with mimicking wood. Here's her work in progress for her end product, which was a whiskey flask cover. Here we see more of her in the tooling process and how she did it. And why did she do this? She put together the things she likes from parts of her life. One part being her workplace. Currently, she is a barmaid, and she has a good time doing it. Second part being tooling. Just during the process, she found out that she really enjoyed it. So that's where the design for this cover came from. And then she's gonna continue it onwards. So here is to be continued. Thank you.
Thank you, Tila. Who's next?
Eranit will be next. I will be presenting for her. Just a second. So the first exercises were the elimination project.
Please enlarge the screen.
Sorry, is it not?
Can you please enlarge it?
Yes. Is it now? Is it
Yes.
okay?
Yes, thank you.
So the first exercises where she made in the lamination construction, she made a clip, a laundry clip. It functions. In the biomimicry, she made her own tool because it was a stressful time. It was the war going on, and she had to make her own tool to work with. She made it out of popsicle sticks and nails. Here she experimented in the Craft the Leather online workshop with Giorgio. She experimented with the egg whites and cream and she made the lighter cover with saddle stitch. Her project, Identity. She wrote, in this project, I focused on the social critique I get. Sometimes I am perceived as a sociopathic girl. In my opinion, it is the opposite of who I am. She named it Identity because she feels that even though the way she perceives herself and others perceive her, they contradict, but they are both part of her own identity. She made a 3D sketch made out of a transparent tape, and she used a pre-casted face last. This is the material laboratory where she tried different method of hardening the leather from the inside. To the left is the epoxy. In the middle is hot water. She used 87 Celsius degrees Celsius hot water. And to the right is gelatin. She decided to go with the gelatin in the end because this is the traditional way of hardening. She used belly leather, and she used no tools, only her hands to wet mold it on the last. Here's the burnishing process. She used a piece of canvas and she damped the surface of the leather and just rubbed it to get this shine onto it. Here's the hardening process. She wetted the inside first and then applied the gelatin. And to the right, you can see she tied it onto the last after applying the gelatin using an elastic fabric and just laid it there to dry. For the second mask, she had to change the last to have some facial expression, and she used a thermoplastic material to give it some features, and to smooth it out, she used putty made of dusted leather and glue. That's what you see to
well, dust from the grinding machine.
Yes, the leftovers.
Yeah, okay.
Here she uses Play-Doh to make a 3D sketch also for the frame of the masks. She glued them all together, and she used cardboard reinforcement on the frame so it will be stiff and won't move too much, especially with time and weather changes. So this is the final project. As you can see, it's she uses a hinge to connect the two pieces together. So one can change the position. So sometimes the faces face each other and sometimes they face outwards. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Neta. It's very nice to be here. So one moment, I will start. So for the first project, I've decided to examine tan leather and its possibilities. I was intrigued if it will be able to be hard enough to cut. So I wanted to make a pair of scissors. Eventually it wasn't hard enough, but still it was a very fun project and a nice experiment. So this is the sketches, and here on the left is the pattern with which I've worked with. The second project is I called it Growing Hammers. I took 2 old hammers and 2 branches and wrapped them with vaqueta leather, and I did wet molding to get the branch forgot the word touch and texture, exactly.
Maybe feeling. You wanted to also the tactile thing.
Yeah. The third project is eyeglasses. I thought leather is a much more compatible material to make eyeglasses than plastic, because it's much more, in my opinion, nicer touch for the skin. Here are some 3D sketches for the connectors. Eventually I did, this is the first try I made with 1 layer of leather. It wasn't hard enough. Eventually I chose simpler connectors. This is also the pattern on the right, and on the left it's the leather during the wet molding process. And here is the final result. Thank you.
Thank you, Neta.
Hi, my name is Gil. The first object that I made was a wand that I made with the lamination construction technique, and I also added a ring and a dot silver with goldsmithing. I had to make a especially long drill so I could add a rod in the object to make it stronger. I made a video to show you some of the process. Afterwards, I experimented with coloring, tooling, and surface manipulation. The next project was the biomimicry of wood. I used the metal brush to change the surface of the leather and used the acrylic colors to make it look like a wood. I finished it off with a saddle stitch and wet molding, so it will be one, the stick and the leather. And
my final project was the connectors. Those are my early 3D sketches and the final 3D sketches. And this is my final project. The name of the project is Transitions. It's a neck piece. I created a repetitive structure based on encounter points between layers of leather. This is how it looks on the body. I really love the way it's connect each other and the way it touches the one leather and one layer to another, and also the separating bits of it. And that's it. Thank you so much.
לא שומעים אותך.
אחלם? Ahlam, we can't hear you.
Okay. Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm so glad being here. I will start with my first exercise. It's a lamination construction. I used to make a Egyptian bezel. It's made of two surfaces. The one is flat and have a blue stone in it, and the other is 3D dimensional bezel. After that, I made in the craft and leather exercise a cover of a pencil. I used tooling and saddle stitch to make the cover. After that, I made a tooling exercise with vaqueta leather. I made a flower. After that, we have an exercise to make the wood look like, the leather look like the wood. Because we were at home and I didn't have an instrument to make the scratching, I used a stone to make it, and it works very well. After that, I had a hammer as a gift, and it's a very precious hammer for me. So I decided to cover it with vaqueta leather. I used the wet molding technique to make it. And this is also another picture. After that, we make a connectors. I made the last semester a shoes for lavender squeezer. I continued with this concept and make a lavender collector. It's a table accessory. I made the cut by fusion and cut it by laser after that, and this is how it looked like with the lavender. My final project is length. It's a necklace chain. I made the cuts with the leather with laser. And after that, I glued one layer to another. And this is how it looks like, the necklace. It have a key that could be opened and closed. And this is how it looks like. It's closed. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahlam.
Hi, just a second. Oh, wait. Okay, now we're good to go.
Stav, enlarge your screen.
Yeah, I know. Hello, everyone. My name is Stav. I'm going to show you a few small exercises before my grand finale project. So this this is the elimination construction exercise. It's kind of a spiral, and it's the very beginning of my final project. You will see as we go. The second one, I did the connectors assignment. I made a hairpin shaped like a turtle. I thought it would be super fun if the hair gonna be the shell of the turtle. And then we tried tooling, and tooling is amazing, by the way. I love it. I'm just in love with it. And I thought, I want to do something fun with it and do something fashion related. And I decided to make a dress for my Barbie. And I can show you the Barbie. I thought at the beginning to stitch it in the back like we did with a lighter cover, but me and Ellie looked at that and we found that it's pretty interesting and quite fun if we can open it in the back and just take it off the Barbie. And something very interesting happened. Because of the tooling, the leather, it became quite dense. So I didn't have to coat it in anything inside, and it's very hard. Like you can hear it, like, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's right on. And this is my final project. It's, I call it the terraces, not as balconies, more like agricultural terraces. And it's a tactile chess set. In this picture, you can see different levels of making. So all of the pieces were designed in Illustrator and laser cut. In the middle of every piece, there is a brass. There is brass just to focus the weight and hold the glue, and give it like a little bit of weight so it's not gonna fall down. It's tiny. So I really want to give it more weight and something to keep it together. The differences between the two teams, it's one side is terraced and one side is smoothen. This is the main difference. Also the board, if you can touch it, it's also tactile. It have different kind of, not layers, just heights. I will show you. This is some sketches I knew from the beginning. I like to know what I'm doing, so I have every piece drawn, and I decided how many layers I want to do, so it will determine the height of the piece. And this is the pieces. The first one is the king. When I think about royalty, I think about clothing, and I chose to reference the Spanish jerkin, which is very much a triangle body, ideal man shape, and I just thought it's very suitable for a king. The same here with the other royalty, the queen. I thought I have to give her a big, beautiful skirt, okay? Big skirt with teeny tiny waist. So I actually gave her skirt, and I tried to make the motion with the, I just tried to make some kind of motion vibe, you know what I mean? And that's it for her right now.
That the skirt is moving, maybe?
It's not moving, it just gives you the feeling, you know, because it's tactile. When you feel it, your hand kind of move with it, you know. And the rook is the it's the boundaries of the board. And usually the work is very small. And I don't understand why it's very small, because it's basically a tower. It's supposed to be tall, and I think it's beautiful that it's tall, so I made it tall. Now the bishop. In Hebrew, the bishop called the runner. So I made something that, for my opinion, looks like it's running, because one leg is opposite, the leg is opposite to the arm, and it is what it is. It always looks like it's moving. The knight, in Hebrew, the knight's called cavalry, which means a knight with a horse, basically. So I focused on the horse. And I did kind of, I took the image of the neck of the head and tried to create something kind of similar to a horse. And those are the pounds. I referenced to spearheads because I thought when soldiers go like march together, you can only see the spearheads. You can't see the individual pound soldier. So this is the explanation for the shapes. The board also were laser cut, but it wasn't really cut, more like burned. It's only a millimeter gap between the upper layer and the lower layer. And I burnished
between the black and white, or brown and beige, right?
Yeah. So I burnished only the white ones, so it also have the texture difference. But if you touch it, you feel the difference. No doubt. It's just how it works.
The laser.
Yeah, and this is a little bit just a taste about how I did the pieces. Because I didn't do one object, I did 33 objects, tiny objects. So I had to number it and keep it very organized. And it's beautiful, not related to it. I got a lot of help from my family. It's a lot of work, and my boyfriend. And they don't want to touch it ever again. I got excited when I actually had 2 pieces from everything. I had the team suddenly. And this is the final one. You can see the upper picture have the terrace, and you maybe think when you touch it, it's all about the touch. When you touch it, you feel the terrace, you feel it in your hand, and the smooth theme that you can see under it. When you touch it, you feel the smoothness. So this is the idea. It's kind of weird to do it on Zoom that you can't really touch it. Trust me. And this is the smooth theme. This is the terrace theme. And I made you a small video. Just a little bit. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we are at the last, no, almost last word. Eden, Shachar, sorry.
So hello everyone, my name is Shachar Germaine Kindler Ben Simon. I hope my English will be well. Just a second, what happened here? Okay. So first I want to say thank you for the opportunity for being here for this collaboration. That was really, really fun and taught me a lot. And this is the illumination part. I did small vagina that made from sole leather. This is the craft and leather workshop. Wet molding and stitching. As you can see, I did a cover for car keys and cover for my grandfather's sculpture. That was really fun because I realized that I can make almost everything I see online, on the street. It really makes me happy. Tooling. Wet molding again. Biomimicry. I did not have a brush, so I glued a sewing needle to a wood piece, and that's what happened. And finally, my final project. That's part of the connectors mission. First, we will see the working process, the first sketch, second one, and the second sketch on cardboard. So after a few days, I'm working on this object by my hand. I realized that it's not connecting well, the side of the heart. So I started to think about a new idea. It's because I did it all by my hand, no laser, nothing. So this is the last sketch. So this is the end. I will read for you something I wrote. I wanted to take the connector task one step ahead and to create a love box that holds my and my partner's wedding rings for our upcoming wedding. The outside part of the box made of 2 layers of coil leather that made on a heart-shaped wooden handle. The grooves were then manually sewed with a pertsaw. The inner art is made of double layers of coil leather in a thick of 0.7 millimeter. And the inner hulls made of coil leather, strips that held by a ring made of 2 layers of coil leather. The entire model was painted and smoothed as part of the finishes. Thank you so much.
So I'll be the last one. Hi, I'm Shoam Campagnano. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So my first experience is experiments with the leather, were the lamination construction, the biomimicry, and the connectors. As you can see, this pyramid is made out of 2 pieces that are sliding together to create this shape. In the Craft the Leather workshop, I made this. It's a cover for glass, and I made the pattern by cutting diagonally into the layer and into the leather and not through it. I tried to mimic this fallen leaves kind of look. This one I wet molded over a stick that I found, and I used saddle stitch. And for my final project, I experimented with high-tech leather craft, specifically water jet cutting, since I understood from Ellie that we haven't tried it yet. And I really wanted to see what this technique can give me, what it can offer. So I started with the test to see the limits, to see what thickness, for example, because it doesn't burn the leather the way the laser does. So I can get to a very high resolution with it. But if I cut it too thin, it rips in touch, and I wanted to create something very big, something wearable with it. So I couldn't cut it so thin that it will rip so easily. We have tried a few different types of leather that you sent us, and some of it got stained really bad because of the water. And we found out that the one that was, I think it was fish oil on it, that made the staining less visible, and the leather less sensitive to the water. So we worked with this one. Next, I had to design the lace cutting corresponding to the pattern of the dress, which I made before. I had to think through everything before the cutting, including where and how it's gonna be sewn together, because I wanted the pattern to be continuous, like around the hemline. Everything had to be thought through before, and this is the actual cutting. After I cut it all, I had to make sure the pieces won't dry, like it won't wave when they dry, won't dry not straight. So I had to flatten them with 2 pieces of cardboard and some waves on them, just to make sure that everything's flat. And also the stains from the water, I hid by actually wetting the entire surface and rubbing the water in a bit, so the stains weren't visible anymore. I then moved to thinning the edges and sewing them by machine. It was not as easy as you could imagine, even though it was by machine. And the flash side of the vaqueta is not soft on the skin, so I had to make a lining. I used linen, and this is the final result. To the left is the front, and to the right is the back. This is from if you look in the back through it to the inside of the dress. And the fastening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. So I see you were the last one, right? Right?
Yes.
Wonderful presentations. Now I'll share with you Do you see?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to give just a minimalistic glimpse on what we do in our courses of shoe design. Oops, it jumped, sorry. So we use various techniques, and sometimes we are interested in a technique, sometimes, usually actually, in the story. And we always are pleased to learn something about working systems, different ones, combining maybe low-tech handwork with technology sometimes. We always use the technology that fits the way of working that we chose. Sometimes we meet surprises during the working process, like in this shoe, where the idea was to protest against the round, the perfection of the round shape. So here we got a vagina. And we discovered in time that we couldn't leave it this way. We had to reinforce it with something like gelatin would have helped a lot. Here we have a momentum heel. The shoe is not leaning on the heel, but the heel has a new purpose. Here, the heel emphasizes the energy of the walking lady. In this shoe, this is called love handles, and it's built on the foot during a certain situation. You see it's connected down here. The second part goes into the tunnel and closes the foot in a complete piece. It's all vegetable tanned leather. This is sole leather. This is vaqueta, and that's vaqueta. It's going to be very short. So I promised to show you the lavender shoe. Here it is. Very, very nice work combining together functionality. The function was to squeeze the lavender to get the aromatherapy effect into your feet. And you see the structure. This was programmed with fusion and then milled. And the pieces fit fantastically together. There's a certain space in the structure dedicated to put something in there, like the lavender in this case. And here's just a glimpse on the upper made out of cuoyo, sole leather, structured, wet molded on an anatomical shoe last. I guess everybody is curious about this lamination construction. So here is a few images, and then I'll show you how it looks like in a film. This is how it looks closely. It's very, very similar to wood we know. That's a moment in the working process. This is a work of Racheli, which is here. Thank you, my dear assistant, Racheli Ben Eliyahu. Yes, beautiful. Now I wonder, does anybody have an idea what this is? I'd like to have comments from the audience. I give you 10, what? So this is a bag. What's in there? Why is this a bag for a lady hunter? What does a lady hunter need? Well, since nobody says anything, of course, a lipstick. Right. So how do we do these things? First, how do you call it? Plastilina to get the general impression of the shapes. Then we created the knife to cut the pieces, glue them together, and wet molding internal pieces, of course, tying the wet leather after hammering it strongly or properly. This is how it looks like when before the pieces are put together. The gluing has to be very, very strong. That's it, but I'll show you now 3 short films that will give an idea of more of the situation. That's it. Thank you. Well, I don't hear that because your volumes are off. Maybe we want to talk together. Put on your volume. So this is the end of our presentation for today. We are so lucky to have the opportunity to meet, to talk, to share, to enjoy each other on this planet. Yes. I would love to, I don't know if anybody wants to say something, to comment, to share.
We want to say thank you for Ellie for all this help and this opportunity to make those beautiful things we did.
It's really nice to see all the work of the students. The level of creativity is very high, I think. And execution is also very good. I really enjoyed participating. Thank you.
Nice having you, and great having you.
I'm always fascinated by how many stories are told. How many, you know, like you have how many students? 15 students, and everybody had a very different take on how to work the material and what they wanted to do with it. And I'm just super fascinated by it. And I just thought also I can second Renee's comment on really lovely craftsmanship and very highly, you know, all the skills that were displayed, really nicely done. And thank you for having me. It's such a great, I'm so happy to see all your students work. So it's really cool. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Marika. Troy, you were asking in the chess if the pieces were wetted before. No, they weren't.
Oh, it was especially in the laser cutting and etching, because I've done a lot of work in that neighborhood. And I just want to add.
Whoa, you're talking so quickly. I can't understand you.
Very excited. It was in the laser cutting and etching that I found. I've done a lot of work in that neighborhood. And it really is that wetting technique that was used for the water jet. If you really get the leather nice and wet and you spray it just before you get in the laser cutter, and you really work with the frequency of the laser, because there's this wood graining effect that happens, but it happens to do with the frequency of the laser, because the laser doesn't actually turn on the entire time. The laser fires incredibly quickly, but we're moving at speeds where you can actually start to see that, and the graining comes back in. So I was really loving that piece, because you could.
Are you telling me that we will not get it burned if we wetten it before? I didn't think about it.
It becomes a lot less burned. It will burn, but you won't have nearly as much, because the water there keeps it from burning.
Thank you for your comment. I learned something.
And it's something I was really happy to see that, because I know how many people struggle with cleaning it up afterwards, and I get that nightmare. But really, because it's vegetable tan, you can soak it, you can get it wet. I mean, I will soak it, leave it like for a day, and work it in a week.
What do you mean? You soak it for a whole day and you put it just so wet inside the laser machine?
Not soaking it, but I have it on MDF, and I'll spray it and spray it, and then compress it with the MDF, because the MDF kind of helps
holds the water.
Remember that MDF, if you take off the top layer, has holes in it.
Yeah.
You breathe, and you can really control you kind of get the wetness going just right, and then you laser etch it and cut.
Wow, new tricks.
New tricks. But yeah, I love seeing that work, because it's a really hard one, and I know the disaster that it is, and yes, you'll never want to do it again, or you will really like barbecue afterwards.
Thank you.
Very compelling work. Really great to see that much creativity. I'm really, really loving how deep and wide some of the students went. You know, there was real depth in some areas and real breadth in others, and that's really magic to see both of those happen at the same class, with the same group.
Thanks.
Yes, and I would like to congratulate all you students. You know, this year and a half studying is difficult, but your creativity, you know, outshined a pandemic, a war, and I'm sure personal issues in your family. So it was really, really wonderful to see, and I'm glad you're still creating. You've got your grandfathers, your boyfriends, your mothers, your fathers working for you. I like that too. Get the whole family involved when you can. So really, you know, you should be really proud that you're staying creative and thought-provoking and expressing yourselves. Congratulations.
I want to take this opportunity to mention the name of the person who taught me this trick about imitating wood. It was in Canada 2 years ago. The person is, the artist is, his name is David Trotter. And we were able to do this because of his open heart and his will to share with me his secrets. So here we pass it and we share. This is very, very heartwarming. Thank you, everybody. This was wonderful. Hope to meet you all again in another crafted leather somewhere.
So thank you very much for having me, and I'd like to send my big gratitude and congratulations, your great success. And I was very much impressed by your, experimental challenge. Not only the idea, but also the technical aspect. I really want to show your pieces to my students. They could be very much impressed and encouraged by the your brave and positive attitude, even this harsh realities. So thank you very much for having me. And one question: so all your students come from the same grade, or these students come from the different years, or particularly same?
This was a course of the second year out of 4. The things I showed, the images I showed at my presentation are both students from second and third and fourth year. The last film was a graduation project of the watches.
Oh, and one more thing. So how long did you take for this project, one project? From the beginning experimental exercise till the end of the final pieces?
Well, all the course is 1 semester. I'm not talking about the final project, which is annual, but the presentations of the students are all from 1 semester, which is 3.5 months. The truth is that because of the COVID and things like that, so we had an extra 2 weeks. So let's put it this way, 4 months.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much. Congratulations.
Anybody else? So here we finished our presentation, and I have no more words to say how much I appreciate all this thing. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara and Diane and Giorgio and the Consortio from Italy. Thank you. Yeah, picture, photo. Let's take photos.
I'd love to get everybody on the same screen, but I guess we have to do a montage.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of us.
Yes, it was a pleasure.
Thank you all so much. This material is close to our hearts here in Tuscany, and it's so wonderful to see that its creative possibilities really explored in such original ways. As we look at different workshop results from around the world, we see such different approaches. And it's really wonderful to have a material that lends itself to so many different, not only techniques, but cultures and aesthetics. This is exactly what we hope would come of a Craft the Leather workshop. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
So thank you, Eliora, for hosting us and collaborate for this new workshop. I like the idea that we tried the way, I mean, we found a way to continue our collaboration, even if we cannot meet personally. So these online workshops we did with Bezalel Academy, RISD, FIT, and Rene Vanderberg Academy, and all the others are a way to continue our collaboration and to strengthen our connections. So thank you, Eliora, for this wonderful presentation. You students did a very wonderful job, and I'm happy I've been here today, and I hope we have new chances to meet again in the future. Okay, so thank you, everybody.
Grazie mille.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao. Troy, we are waiting for you here, okay?
Excellent. I can't wait to be back in Tuscany.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, you too, Ellie.
Yeah.
Bye
bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao.